What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the endlessly edgy Dr. Disaster, and in the past few days, much has been made of the Nintendo Direct for Mario Kart World that was scheduled to drop this morning because they had the comments turned off on it. But it turns out that Nintendo always leaves comments turned off until a half hour prior to launch, so that wasn't actually a story. No big deal! What is kind of a story, though, is the fact that some members of the gaming community believed that this was true, because we all know the backlash that Nintendo is facing right now as a result of the raised prices of their games. It sounded plausible that Nintendo would consider turning off comments after incidents like this in their Treehouse stream, where people just continually hit them with comments saying drop the price over and over. With the way that most game companies behave these days, we absolutely would not have been surprised to see them look at the discourse from gamers and say, Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! But to Nintendo's credit, they didn't turn the comments off. The Mario Kart World Nintendo Direct has now taken place, and people got to say what they wanted to. Now, considering that the comment section ended up looking exactly like we all expected it would, with drop the price being dropped into the chat repeatedly, right about now, I expect that Nintendo is wishing that they had removed the comments from this Nintendo Direct. You can only hear this so many times before you go insane.
You greedy dirtbag! You greedy dirtbag! You greedy dirtbag!
Has the planet gone mad?
Alright, me hearties, make sure you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also, please consider supporting the channel by becoming a member. I've written a dark fantasy novel that will be available to purchase soon on Amazon, and audiobook will be available to channel members first in the next week or so. I'm just ironing out the last few kinks in the novel and will be ready to rock. But if you want to support alternatives to mainstream culture, consider becoming a channel member for as little as $5 a month. But anyhow, let's take a look at this Mario Kart Nintendo Direct that just happened, where they were spammed by people pissed off at the price structure of their games. Let's take a look at what people had to say. I'm just going to go right on down the line and give you a nice sample of what was being said. It starts here saying, drop the price. That's it? Where's Diddy Kong? Can't wait. Drop the prices. Drop the price. Drop the price. Drop the price. Drop the prices. This is not worth $80. Yo. Out my mum in the game. Greed Tendo. First. Yeah, that guy wasn't first, but that's funny. Wow. Guys, that 15 minutes really taught me how to drop the prices. If you know, you know. They added Toad's Factory, the Mega Mushroom, the Cow, the Snowman, the Dolphin. Of course the game is worth the price, and sarcasm is my first language, so that one really speaks to me, but you guys get the idea. The chat was an absolute bloodbath. There were people legitimately hyping the game up and excited for the game peppered in there among all the people complaining about price, but those people were far outnumbered. Which, to be honest, at first blush, that makes the ratio here a little confusing. If you look here at the Nintendo Direct trailer, you can see that they already have over 500,000 views at the time of this recording, and if you look, they've got 28,000 likes to less than 1,000 dislikes. But I think the thing is this: nobody is actually disliking the game itself, we're just very annoyed at Nintendo, which, for a lot of people, doesn't warrant hitting the dislike button on the video. If I were going to hit that dislike button myself, it would be because this Nintendo Direct didn't actually offer much of anything that was new. There weren't any sweet new details about the game, not really. They elaborated on some things, and they showed us new footage, but the video really didn't teach us anything that we didn't know. We didn't get a pre-order date for the US, and people are pretty annoyed at that, considering that the tariffs in the US have largely been delayed for a time frame beyond the release date of the game, but still. All that aside, personally, I think the game itself looks sweet. The real question is whether or not $80 for a game is justifiable, of course, which a lot of gamers are grappling with. And it isn't just gamers that are struggling with what Nintendo is throwing out there. The former head of PlayStation is calling out Nintendo for their reveal, and I thought this was really interesting because, of course, Nintendo's competitive advantage in the last 30 years or so has consistently been the fact that they make fun games. They've rarely been at the cutting edge of technology. Their advantage has been as a company that focuses on fun software. Everybody needs a competitive advantage in business, and Nintendo's works for them. But, as the article here says, while Nintendo has always been known for releasing less powerful hardware compared to Xbox or PlayStation, it has consistently offered a massive library of innovative products. Former president of Sony Interactive Entertainment's worldwide studios, Shuhei Yoshida, believes that Nintendo is losing its identity with the latest Switch 2. Speaking on the Easy Allies podcast, Yoshida shared his thoughts on the Switch 2 and explained that Nintendo is a company that focuses on the fun and gameplay and not the technical aspects of consoles, which is something they seem to be prioritizing on the Switch 2. Yoshida also pointed out how this time around, Nintendo even had a tech person introduce the new console. Yoshida states, "I think Nintendo is losing their identity in my opinion. Like, for me, they are always about creating some new experience, like designing hardware and games, together to create something, that amazing new experience. But Switch 2, as we all anticipated, is a better Switch, right?" And the reason I bring this up is because, first of all, this comes from the former head of PlayStation, so it is someone who will know Nintendo really well. This is a guy who will have spent a lot of time analyzing his competition in an attempt to beat them, so what he says is really interesting and a good point. But the other reason I bring this up is because I think it goes hand in hand with our topic of discussion, the raised prices of Nintendo games. The thing is, I believe that Nintendo wanted to up their prices all along. I suspect that was a part of the conversation when developing the Switch 2 in the first place. They wanted to be able to keep developing games as they always have all along the way, but they wanted to be able to justify their higher prices. So rather than focusing on innovation with their new system, they focused on specs, which feels off for them. The only other explanation I can think of is that Nintendo just didn't have any new ideas for innovation for a console, but based on their track record as a company for decades now, I have a really hard time believing that. No, I think they wanted to be able to develop games as they always have, because the process for making a Switch 2 game isn't going to be that much different than a Switch 1, but now with a focus on better technical specs, they feel they can justify the raised price tag. The writing was on the wall with Tears of the Kingdom last year. That game was inexplicably $70, even though other games from them were only $60. That was them testing the waters, and people still bought it right up. But I'm gonna leave it there. What do you think about all this? Drop your thoughts on the Nintendo Direct and the pricing of everything Switch 2 into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.